Hi there, and welcome to the Lucentian or EhehDada high score service tutorial. Today we're just going to go through how you can get a table into your Unity app and integrate it with our plugin. So you go to this website where you can create a new account. It'll automatically give you a unique name. I'm going to change mine to my tutorial table. And I only want 10 people to be able to fit in there, and I want to make sure that the same person can get in there as many times as they want. And I'm going to do some crypto mining in order to enable my table. After this, you won't have to do anything else. It's just this one to create it. Oh, great, I'm all set. So now I'm going to create my high score tables now. And it brings me to my credentials over here. So what I'm going to do is go down here to get my credentials for my high score table in Unity. And this is just a serialized version of a Unity object in this plugin. So when you go to the plugin, you've got this thing called EhehDada sample. And you can enter the key here. And then when you press play, it will successfully get your table. Now, we don't have anything in our table yet, so I'm going to randomly add a score and a person's name. And there's my first score. Here's another person. This little UI I built in Unity 2019, so any version of Unity you're using after that will have this table, but if you don't have it, then you'll just be working with the code, which is fine because it's really just a backend service, and you can make this table in about 5 minutes in Unity anyway. There's one more thing which I'll show you this UI can do. It has a little test button for a test that I built. And basically what this does is test all the functionality of the table. And I'll go into detail about what this is, but the key thing here is that at one point in the test I stop 3 pending connections and I save them for later. And then I try them again, and they're all successful. In this case, they were just get table calls, but I assume that if you're going to have an add record call in progress and the user quits the app, then you're going to want to have a way to recover a high score that was not sent. So that's the outside. You can see they're automatically sorted for you. Now on the inside, you can look in this folder. There's a little README which I have all kinds of paths for you. And then here is the entry point. This is the entry point for all of the plugin code. I'm just going to start with the sample over here. Again, I'm going to ignore the code that draws the UI because that's just a simple scrollable list that you can create using a YouTube video on your own. The key points to remember here are that when you start the service, first you get the component, which is the high score service component. Then you initialize it with either the key or the thing that the key deserializes into. You can see it also can use an EhehDada init params. So there's another option there. Then the first thing I do is I get the table that I've initialized for. You can initialize it for a different table and use the same service. It doesn't have states. Let's see what else. The test routine that I showed you is these things. So you have a get table call, which will give you the table. We've already discussed that. Check eligibility, which will check to see if this player will fit in the table. Sometimes before you add a record, you want to check to see if they'll fit. You can get the server time in case you're having trouble adding a record with the correct time. And you can also add a record. So add a record is a little bit more complicated. In order to do that, you need to create a body object which has the following information: the person's name, their score, when the thing happened. Normally this is the Unix time stamp, or the Unix epoch. And that's how you can look how I get this here. And then the locale could be any location that you want. You're going to get back a bunch of these, so you can put them on a map or whatever you want. So then you start the coroutine and add a record to the table and use your body object, and it'll send it for you. There's a little convenience method here, add get place string, which will just get first or second from the index 0 or 1. And then we get the table again and redraw the UI again, and that's how that works. The only other, so just to look briefly at the service over here, again, this is the thing you'll be accessing. You can choose what level of logging you want. If you just want to see errors from it or warnings, you can, or just information, which will show you everything it's doing. Now, these variables are where we store the latest deserialized objects that we got from the server. So if you make a call, the server gets, the information gets dropped here. We don't do it with a callback in any way. And this is a list of requests that are currently pending. So what you do, or what you can do, is you can make this public and grab these, and then you can find which ones you want to recover for your next session if the user suspends the app. One way to do this is to, you don't have to make that public, you can just call the stop function, which will give you back the list. And then when you want to try again, you just feed that list back in, and it will try to send them again and put them back in the pending list. So there's a nice little life cycle for you. These are all nice and commented. There's nothing really to know except that there are two objects here called a REST request and REST request params. And the key thing to know here is that a REST request is used once, and the params goes inside it. This is a single-use object, and when you try to retry again, you just give the service this again. It'll slap it into a REST request and fire it off into space. I mean, the internet. So that's all for now. One note about this project is that although it's built in Unity 2019, it's fitted to work with anything that will work with a Unity web request. We have platform-dependent compilation in there, so anything after 5.6 should work great. The only thing is that you won't have access to this sample, to a working sample, and this amazing UI setup I've got here, unless you're using Unity 2019. Okay, thanks very much. Have a good day. Happy Highscores.